My name is Dominion, and this is A Quiet Death, a short story. He wasn't sure what his place was in the universe. It was hard to say in a world of innumerable billions that anything he did meant anything at all. Still, through a normal life went William, or at least normal for where he was. His job could be described as manual labor, and an expert in his field he was. It wasn't a bad job, William found it fulfilling, and it wasn't too difficult, although he would have liked more of a choice in what he did. The only thing he could really complain about, he'd sometimes think, is that he was on call any time of day or night. William's neighbors were of amicable sort. There was little interaction except the normal pleasantries, and this might have been because William felt a strange familiarity with them, all of them. He was sure as he'd meet a new neighbor that they'd never met before, but all the same he could not distract himself from the thought that they were all rather the same. He looked forward to life at his job more than anything, probably because there was little else going on in his life. He thought that he'd settle down eventually and perhaps create a family at some point, but he felt that he needed to be a bit more mature. There was something different about one morning, as William prepared to begin work. William's workplace was a grand structure, a massive, impressively intricate factory that took in information from its headquarters and created a massive feat of engineering and chemistry. One of the best features of the place is the varied creations. One day would find a brand new energy conversion structure, another would bring panels of a building en masse. No matter what the project, William and his coworkers would work in harmony and sequence to achieve their ends. Today, though, a low scuttling of voices was conferring amongst each other as William arrived. Pressed for details, rumors reached his ears of a problem with the communication from headquarters to their workplace. No one was totally sure of the issue, but at the moment, no order to fulfill reached them. In fact, nothing at all had been received. You see, even when work was not being done, the HQ was not fond of complete silence. It demanded reports of status, or received information about the health of the workplace, or sundry information too mundane to care about. In all his time working, William had never heard of a complete silence. "When was the last work order received?" he asked his nearest coworker in concern. Several chittering responses he heard. None could agree the exact time frame, only that it had been some time. This greatly disturbed them. No one could work while there were no orders. One was strictly prohibited from freelance work, and like William, most of his coworkers felt their only fulfillment while performing their job functions. William asked if any other work sites had been in contact. They had not. Panic began to set in. A group more acclimated to pauses between work might have fared better, or indeed taken the event in stride, keeping perspective, but like a raging addiction to a substance suddenly quit, William and his sort could not cope. In vain they sent message after message to headquarters, but after a time the message centers would simply not transmit them. Further inspection clarified the new development. In addition to the lack of communication, the normal pipeline of power had flowed to a gradual halt. William at this time stopped his incessant attempts and took in the situation as it continued to unfold. He found himself growing tired, and his compatriots presently quieted in turn, their energy drained. After a time, and William could not have said precisely how long, he rested himself in his normal abode where he lived, his resignation complete. No messages received, no power flowed. As he lay, he drifted closer and closer to sleep, and finally, awake no more. His coworkers followed in their own way. Some took much longer than others to accept the problem, and it was speculated that the issue might well be fixed in the morning, if only they could lower their heads to sleep for now, to let go of the fear and confusion. So they did, and William let his last thought drift by, that in the morrow work would begin again, and his purpose gleaned, perhaps. And he slept. A bear, having fallen from a jagged cliffside whilst foraging for berries, lay motionless upon the rocks below. Its death would be of little consequence.